Hello my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to part 6 of the classical guitar conversion to steel strung acoustic guitar. Okay, so in the previous episode I had installed the truss rod and attached the fretboard, got that glued and clamped on. That's now set, and the one job I've done off camera is I've made a nut for it, got that fitted. It still needs a little bit of final shaping and finessing, but it's, you know, sort of 85% there. Now I didn't film that because I have filmed making a nut before, and I actually also recently released a series of videos, luthier tutorial videos on making a new nut. So I didn't bother to film this. So let me just show you that quickly. Like I said, it still needs a little bit of final shaping and finessing. It looks a little bit ugly at the moment, and but you know, it is more or less there. I've got the sort of the curved shape on it, and got all the string slots started. And I've got two tuners on it at the moment, and this is the tuners I'm going to be using on this guitar. Got a set of these, and you'll also see I've got a couple of strings on, and what I've got at this end is I've got this wire bracket hooked over the strap button with a little bit of paper here to protect the body, and then the two strings hooked in there with this piece of dowel as a wedge to hold them at the right distance apart. And I've got the bridge temporarily placed on there. I've got a couple of pieces of wood underneath it just to raise it up a bit, but that's not going to be the final job. And I've got the bridge placed on there with the saddle in there, and you know, this part is to sort of hold the strings at the right distance apart, and I was a little bit worried about the neck alignment, but it's kind of hard to see. The alignment has worked out okay. There is more of a gap this side than this side. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's good. It's good enough. Yeah, it's not ended up perfect, but a little bit better than I was expecting, to be honest. So this is my rig for setting up where the bridge is going to go. So, you know, just quickly run through it again. We've got the bracket there going over the body with the strings attached and a spacer to hold them apart. Bridge and saddle placed on top with the strings through the tuners and over the nut as well. The nut height is close at the moment. It's certainly close enough to do this job. So I'm going to turn the guitar around and get the camera angled down. How's that looking? Not too bad. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay. Yeah, again, the light's not great. Let me just go down a little bit more. Okay. How's that? Not too bad. Actually, let me just zoom out a little bit and go down a bit more. Okay. No, that's not going to work. Right, sorry, bear with me a sec. Almost there. Okay. Right, so, oh, I've got to put the AC on, it's a bit hot in here. 1 second. The reason I turn the AC off is it is kind of noisy, but I do need it at the moment. I'll bring that light forward a bit. Give me a bit more light. Right, so what I need to do here is get the strings up to pitch, so the low E and the high E, and so the reason I've got these pieces of wood underneath the bridge is to bring the action at the 12th fret about where it should be, and it is more or less right. I did think at first I might have to, you know, put a spacer underneath this bridge to raise it up, but I have still yet to put the pickup in there, which is like 3mm high, so I probably won't need to. So what I need to do is first of all just open the app on my phone, tuning app. Let's see if we can put that somewhere where you're going to see it, not so much. Right, so tuning app. Okay, I think you can kind of see that. Right, so we want, they should be more or less up to pitch right now. Almost. Okay, that's the low E, and right, so what I'm looking for at the moment for the bridge placement is intonation. So what I need to do is check the intonation of both strings at the 12th fret and see where we are. It's a little sharp, let's just drag that down a bit. It doesn't really matter if you have, you know, exact right pitch, so long as when you intonate at the 12th fret, it's exactly the same pitch, if that makes sense. Just bring that up a tad. Okay, so just fretting at the 12th. I can see that's really sharp. Yeah, so if it's too sharp, it means the bridge is too close. So I need to pull it back a bit. So you don't need to go too far. Right, let's just check that. Wow. Really? That's pretty close. So that's still showing a little sharp. So is that bridge straight first of all? Yeah. So I'll just come back a hair, just a fraction. Because this is a straight saddle and there's no intonation on the saddle itself, I'm going to have to find that happy medium. So it might mean one of the strings being just a hair flat and the other one being just a hair sharp, but we'll see how close we get. Yes, that's showing a little sharp. Pretty close. Do you know what? That's pretty damn close. For a straight, unintonated saddle, that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. Right, let's check again. I'm quite happy with that. That's a lot closer than I would have expected it to be. Just double check everything. Right, one sec. Just line everything up where it should be. All right. Okay, let me check again. it's close. Well, it's more or less bang on. Okay, that's showing sharp again now. That's weird. Right, so the high E is showing a little bit sharp, and I think I can see what the problem is. The bridge is slightly out of line. Actually, no, that's the wrong way, isn't it? What are we doing? Okay. You know what? That is as good as it's going to get, I think. And that is pretty good. So this high E seems to be jumping around a little bit. Sometimes it's spot on, sometimes it's a bit sharp. I am going to take that. That is really good. Okay, so I'll just take some measurements of where the bridge is on the body to see how close we are to good. Right, so we've got 98. No, we've got 98. Okay, that's quite a long way out that way, but that's to be expected because of the slight misalignment of the neck. And let me just check to the end of the body, and we've got 149. So it's in alignment that way. It's just it is shifted across a bit, but there's not much I can do about that, and you can barely even notice it, although it is quite a way out. So top to bottom, or from this corner of the bridge to the bottom of the body, we've got 149, and from this corner 149. I'll take that. Right, so let me just check that intonation one more time before I mark anything. That is spot on. Right, so what I'm going to do, because this bridge is raised off the body a little bit, normally I'd just draw a pencil line along this front edge. But it's going to be difficult to get it aligned properly with the bridge. So I'm actually going to use a scalpel to use the flat edge against the bridge here and just make a light mark all the way along this edge. I'm not, digging into the guitar, just making a tiny mark. So this way it's a lot easier to line up along that edge of the bridge. It's going to have a skew. Actually. Good. Okay, so I'm not sure you'll be able to see that, but there is a kind of a score mark. Where are we? There is a score mark along that front edge of the bridge on the body, and let me just check that. Looks pretty good to me. Just going to tidy up the ends a bit. Careful not to move the bridge. Okay, so let me just before I take it all apart, I will check it one more time. That is spot on. I mean, you know, you will struggle to ever get intonation any closer than that, especially with a cheap guitar, which this is. I'm pretty happy with that. That will do me. So that is the alignment of the bridge done. The next stage will be to actually attach the bridge. Now I'll need to do a little bit of preparation first before I do that. But that's going to be the next stage, actually attaching the bridge, and that's got to be done absolutely perfectly, otherwise game over. And once that's on, really the stage after that is final shaping of the nut and sanding, and you know, shaping other bits and pieces, and getting it all, the whole thing sanded, ready for painting. And on that subject, I have gone back to my original decision of painting the whole thing. I did say that I was going to leave the neck and headstock natural and stain them, well, not stain them, but finish them with boiled linseed oil. But because of the way I had to put the fretboard on and kind of twist it a little bit, I've had to do some filling where there were a few gaps after it was finished. I have had to do some filling on the neck in various places. Now it's not sanded or anything at the moment, but you can see there's quite a bit of filler all over the place, and it looks a lot worse than it is. You know, as I said, it's not sanded back yet, but because of that, and because it doesn't exactly match the wood, leaving it natural is not going to work on this, so I will be painting the whole thing back to the original plan. And you know, that's the way these projects go. You plan certain things and it almost always changes. Something will change, many things actually. And you know, as I've said, this project has been pretty challenging, and there's a few more challenges to go yet. And this guitar is going to be for sale in my shop, although I'm not going to get anywhere near what it will be worth in labour. I mean, you know, I would have to charge a ridiculous amount of money to cover my labour costs, but it's on my time, so, you know, it is what it is. I'm not quite sure what the pricing will be at the moment. It just depends on how it actually ends up, how it looks. I mean, it is going to look handmade and hand finished, but I'm hoping it's going to be, you know, looking really good and priced accordingly. But I'm not going to be able to ask too much money for it because, you know, it is cheap. So there it is. So in part 7, I will be attaching the bridge. Hopefully all that will go well. If you're enjoying this series and any of my other videos, please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, tell your friends, colleagues and relatives about my channel, those who might be interested. Still trying to get the figures up. So, like I said, in part 7, attaching the bridge. In the meantime, look after yourselves, look after each other. We will see you soon. Peace out.